What's up, magical humans? I'm Mia Magic. Welcome to your Pisces Full Moon download. I am so excited to be sharing this with you. This is the sign of the mystic. This is a water sign, and the moon loves being in water signs because the moon is so watery, right? She controls all the water on this planet, lest we forget, right? So the mystic is the wise one, is the former leader of the tribes, right? Like, we definitely don't listen to our mystics these days well enough. I wish we would. We probably wouldn't be in the situation in this world that we're in if we did, but that's neither here nor there. That's for another video, right? I like to stay out of that stuff. Let's just focus on the magic here, right? So the mystic was the high priestess, was the diviner, was the one who would gather or garner or receive or divine the information, the wisdom from the earth, from the universe, from the world around us, from the cosmos, from the stars, in order to guide the tribes, to guide our people, to know what we are meant to do, who we're meant to be, where we're meant to go. And so the invitation for this full moon, we always talk about the fact that full moons are for completion, right? The moon has come to its completion in its personal cycle. It's the full illumination. So any shadow is being illuminated, right? It's nighttime. And yet what I always love to do is go on full moon hikes because you can literally see. Like, I love to just be out walking in the moonlight because there's shadows, right? You can see your own shadow from the moonlight. So you can see your own shadow in the moonlight, right? That's what the full moon is for, witnessing your shadow during this time so that you can come to completion with it. I'm having like crazy shit go on with this. Oh my goddess, y'all can't even tell you. It's so wild. But what we're being invited to do collectively and individually is to release any of the patterns that have allowed us to hide from our magic. If we've been keeping our mystical ability or our supernatural or spiritual gifts close to the belt, to the chest, hidden away, wanting to keep them safe, right? I get it. Trust me, I get it. There is so much work to be done, even for me still, about showing up fully in my power in order to be safe, because the world is not necessarily an encouraging place to be magical. But what we're being invited to do right now with this completion cycle, the sun, so the life-giving energy of our particular galaxy, our solar system, the sun is in Virgo. We talked about that in my last video, the Virgo new moon. Virgo is the sign of personal development, of your daily routines, your regimen, how you care for yourself, and it's also the sign of service. So the light right now is shining on how we are meant to be of service in that Virgo energy. And then the moon, our waters, our sensuality, our emotional reality, is in the sign of Pisces, the mystic. So when we think about, okay, we need to figure out how we're being of service, we're shining light on how we're being of service, and our emotional reality is asking us to come to completion with anything that's keeping us from showing up as the most mystical version of ourselves, as the one who can receive that wisdom, as the one who is down in the depths. Pisces is very much in the depths. It's like just willing to go there wherever it is, right? One of my dear sisters who's a Pisces, good goddess, like nobody goes deeper than her. And we got a lot of scorpionic energy in our tribe. Like, I'm a Scorpio moon. Most of my best friends are Scorpios. It's like we got a lot of depth. And yet that Piscean queen, like, she goes where no Scorpio has gone before, So Pisces can also, in its shadow, be very addictive because it's like, oh, I'm going to go so deep into heroin or something, So we really want to be mindful of any addictive patterns that we have during this time and set some intentions or do a ritual to fully release and come to completion with them, to let that shit go from your life in order to shine your light, to be that watery, mystical, the way that we think of the moon, glowing, luminous energy with your own personal spiritual gifts, with the way that you show up as the mystic in your reality. So what can you do? Right? We talked about this with the Virgo new moon. What can you do to plant the seeds to take care of yourself and be in your deepest service, to show up as the version of you that is just so empowered in your sovereignty, right? The original definition of Virgo or virgin is sovereign. So how can you show up in service to your sovereignty through your routine, through your self-care, through the way that you tend to your body, your home, your physical environment? And then what are the patterns or the emotions, right? If it's like, unworthiness, that can be an emotion, right? Fear is an emotion. Anxiety, anger. What is the emotion? Maybe it's sadness. Maybe it's bypassing with happiness. You're just like pretending to be happy all the time. That can still be an emotion that's hindering you from being in your deepest mystical self. Because maybe there's a wound that's asking you to go deeper beyond just the surface level happiness and joy, which is a gift. Like everybody loves people like that. And like for my partner in particular, I noticed that sometimes he uses that joy as a mask, and it's actually not true and authentic. He is just so programmed and conditioned to think that he needs to like be a good boy and be happy. And he always receives so much beautiful reflection for being this luminous light and this joyful being that it can keep him from feeling like it's okay to feel his sadness. Like it's okay to feel anything other than just that luminous light. So we really want to look at what emotions are in the way of us being our most mystical selves. What addictive patterns or habits or behaviors are preventing us, right? That's the Virgo energy, our behaviors, our routine, our ritual. What ways are those habits, behaviors, patterns, or emotions hindering us from showing up in our deepest magic, from being the mystic? And then doing whatever it is that we can do to release that. So a beautiful ritual, I was just led through it. I'm doing this 3-month mentorship program with Dakota Chanel, my dear sister. She's an epic water priestess. If you haven't checked her out, please make sure you go and do. She's so wise, and Sacred Union is just like her code and frequency. She's absolutely incredible. And we did a beautiful ritual washing ceremony this week. So we performed it on ourselves, and then we're meant to give it to our beloveds. And that just feels like such a perfect thing to do for the Pisces full moon for anyone. So you want to be doing anything where you can engage with water in any way. It's a water sign. Water is for cleansing and purification, right? Like the other day, my hand was really dirty. I was like in the forest, and I noticed myself like trying to rub it off. But then the moment that I just placed like 3 drops of water, right, it washes away. So water is the great purifier. It is the cleansing element. I'm also going to be offering my first live group ritual for the general public in so long. I don't even remember the last time I did one. I really wanted to do this particular ritual together. It felt really important during this time. So Monday at 5 p.m. PST, we are going to be doing this Pisces full moon ritual together. And so if you would like to join us and make magic together, make sure that you check the event link below. I'll make sure to put it in the description box. And I would absolutely love to have you come and get witchy with me. You can do anything to do with water, but some type of baptism or ritual washing ceremony would be so potent during this time. And what you can do is put herbs, right? Anything that maybe aligns with Virgo or the earth. Obviously, all herbs align with the earth, but what is going to help you feel like you're amplifying this self-care or tending to yourself and being in your sovereignty, being in honor of who you know you can be or are meant to be as the mystic, and placing those herbs. You can even do ritual washing with a tea. You could literally make tea and wash yourself with it. It's not going to be sticky. It's just herbal water, right? You can use essential oils. You can use mists. You can do it however you want. But what I recommend is creating some kind of intentional water bath, whether that's in a wild river, which, wild, clean, fresh water is obviously the best you could ever do, but it's okay if you're in a city or in an apartment or something like that. I highly recommend getting out of those places as soon as possible, but everyone's got their own preferences. So if you can create this herbal blend, so you've got herbs that support you, plant allies that are there to support you, either in the cleansing aspect or in what you're calling in from the cleansing. And then really being intentional with the water, letting it know what you're washing away. And then you can use it cold or hot, doesn't really matter. And just taking a cloth and really just washing away, seeing the energy fall, really cleansing yourself, bathing yourself, washing away. If it's something to do with your expression, your throat, something to do with your love, really focus on your heart. It doesn't matter what the thing is that you're washing away, but to spend your time washing it away in some ceremonial, intentional experience will be so potent during this time. So what is keeping you from being your most mystical self? What story? What practice, right? Is there any behavior that you're really constantly and consistently engaging in that's keeping you from showing up as your most magical self, from sharing your spiritual gifts, right? That full moon, this full illumination, all of the light of our emotional reality is present right now on what our spiritual gifts are meant to be, on how we're meant to shine that light of our mystical selves. So just paying attention to any of the ways that you're addicted to anything, right? Like I'm personally from the Virgo new moon, I'm taking 30 days off of watching TV. Like I don't even own a television, but like, no Netflix, no HBO, none of my little favorite magical shows. I just got into Cursed and like, oh my God, I'm at this point where like the arrow just flew straight towards him and we don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, no, that is not necessary for me right now. I don't need to know what's going to happen. I'm not going to die. So I'm taking a full 30 days off of TV. How can I spend that time? How can I, if I like every couple nights a week, my partner and I like sit, instead of doing that, can we make love? Can we do a ceremony? Can we do this ritual washing for each other? Can we be in deeper intimacy with one another? What can I use that time, that hour, or sometimes two, that would go to watching something, even though that's not like maybe a horrible thing to be addicted to, right? It's like we get in the habit of things. We get habituated behaviors, and maybe they're not as of service to our mystical selves as they could be, right? If I spent that time in divination, if I spent that time in meditation, instead of watching something, even just reading a book, it's like, I know that I'm going to get more, that I'm going to access and reach closer to my mystical self by spending that time in a more mystical way, in a more intentional way. And so that is what this full moon is really inviting all of us to do. Again, I'm not an astrologer. I'm just dressed like one. No, just kidding. I know astrologers are dressed like this. This is my mom used to always play the fortune teller, like at Halloween and stuff. My mom is such a psychic. And so she always has been my whole life. I come from a long line of Irish psychics. They call them clairvoyants in the Catholic Church because, then it's not evil, but whatever, it's psychic. So anyways, my mom would always like wear a turban like this to do her fortune telling at the school Halloween party. So I was like, nod to her. I just spent a week with her up in NorCal. Anyway, it's not like you guys asked for that in an astrology video, but so I'm not an astrologer, but what I find is important as a witch, right? As a person who is intent upon being a vessel for wisdom, is utilizing these archetypal energies and frequencies to understand what's being invited for us to let go of or release or create a ritual offering for. So that's what I find to be most important and impactful during these times, is to look at the archetype, and the archetype is the mystic. It is the depths. So what's scary about the depths for you? What's keeping you from shining your light, your luminous spiritual gift, your mystical medicine from and with and in the world? So I truly hope that this is an inspiration to you. And again, just spending any time in clean water. You can do water scrying. There's so many different things that you can do with water. You can charge water and drink it. I personally think that's a better thing to do on the new moon, because this is more about the releasing. But anything to do with water is great during this time. And really being aware of also the sign of Pisces is like those two fish crossing. And so they're kind of going in opposite directions. There's two choices. It's like, do I want to go this way or do I want to go this way? And this is an invitation for you to really be aware of how you're moving and traveling in the direction that is the one that you are divinely designed and destined for, the one that is your most mystical self. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with anyone that you love if it resonates with you. I'm Mia Magic, and welcome to your most magical life.